Yes? Hello? I'm here to check myself into the insane asylum.
We do not take walk-ins, sorry. You'll have to go somewhere else.
Oh, no, you don't understand. I'm the one who made the conspiracy theory video about Boss Baby originating from a cult. Watching Boss Baby back in the crib is like watching a very slow and poorly animated car accident. The kind where the effects just don't cut it in our current age of technology. And as you're sitting there, watching this painfully awful thing unfold, you remember that Arcane exists, and that you could have been watching that. But no, you're watching a children's cartoon while you study for finals. For those of you constantly saying that I should just drop it if I don't like it, I like making videos about it. That's the main reason why I'm doing all this. It's in the same vein that drama is, just plucked of its normal intimacy that we carry around in our day-to-day gossip. Safer drama, if you may. I get to critique a show I find rather boring and cringe for money, and you guys get to watch some woman repeatedly throw herself into a computer screen to try and give herself amnesia. Truly, we work well together, chat. I did start off this show with a very hopeful demeanor. The parents were in the know right away, which was a major issue in the original series. With the parents helping the children, I thought for sure it was a shoo-in for better storytelling, more opportunities. And in the beginning, it was much more tolerable than the first show. It started off with better motivation, with Boss Baby being framed for embezzlement, and is now on the run from the cops. Sadly, the issues came. They always do come in these sorts of shows, pests that just cannot be stopped. A foundational error that cracks away and wilts into nothing. And a lot of modern kids shows believe that children need constant action but also have the emotional intelligence of a brick. I honestly find that quite shameful for today's media, as I think giving more quiet but challenging material to kids would be a proper way to further their development. Maybe I was just a nerdy brat when I was younger, but I always did enjoy shows that challenged me and forced me to consider new scary ideas or learn new things. Some of my favorite media back in the day was Coraline and Courage the Cowardly Dog, both of which gave me nightmares for weeks, but I still hold in high regard. They made me think and consider, and challenged me to face new ideas I just hadn't yet. Boss Baby doesn't do that. Just for comparison regarding the issue of it being a children's show, it's rated as PG. Other PG-rated shows include The Wizard of Oz, How the Grinch Stole Christmas, and The Big Bang Theory, along with Doctor Who in certain countries. Obviously, not all of these shows are intended for children, and arguing the PG system is arbitrary at best, since it's a rather lacking system in my opinion. But these other shows do take a more straightforward approach and offer some interesting topics in some way, shape, or form without disallowing children to enjoy. My family is a cluster of nerds, what you may call a nerd herd, and I've been enjoying Doctor Who ever since I can remember. Even if all the logic isn't sound, it made me extremely interested in a lot of new topics and caused me to learn a lot more about myself and the world as a whole. Boss Baby did inspire me to build a catapult and throw myself right into the sun. So I'm forcing myself to think critically of this show, a desperate last-minute bid to rectify my lost brain cells and regain any clarity I've lost over the hours I've spent watching episode after episode. And as I draw to a close in the final series, watching a group of infant criminals get swept into jail by the FBI, I realized one simple fact. Ah shit, they've been drugging me this entire time. How did this baby formula get into my water bottle? To celebrate the milestone of me finishing this series, look at all those videos, guys. I'm so close. This has been a long journey, but dear God, I'm coming home, Jackie. I've sketched up a few new sketches of my persona for this occasion. I didn't design this baby sona. Wait, baby sona? Oh my God, is that the fucking term I have to use now? What has become of my life? I didn't design this or come up with this idea, so credit to the artist in this piece of work. Because holy shit, I've gotten fan art from my stupid commentary video with bad mic quality. That is amazing, and thank you all for the support. Seriously, jokes aside for a second, all of this has been amazing. I'm just doing stupid little silly videos, and y'all are so supportive of my stupid shit. Either way, pulling back and looking over this franchise as a whole has me a changed woman. It may just be the insanity settling in, but I find myself dreading this world with each new episode that is presented to me. Criminal babies, banks in the bottom of the ocean full of cats, a baby so cute it can be utilized as a weapon. All of these events continued to pile on, adults becoming dumber while Baby Corp became more twisted and powerful in its temptation for vengeance, and I realized just how pitiful this world was. Why would living in this world appeal to anyone? It's a world that's so quickly becoming more hopeless, more twisted, and more desolate. The authority doesn't even show up to help manage the company that determines our population, and the masses are so easily swayed by simple rumors and videos that their independence feels almost worthless. Baby Corp is a cult. Baby Corp lets villains win to try to steal their products. Baby Corp is dooming the world. And it's all culminating together in a worldview so bleak that hope itself becomes futile. Why bother to pray for a better future when we cannot control it? Baby Corp will drag us through the mud, control our bodies and ages with a single formula, and when we know too much, it either breaks us or they wipe our minds to forget. Baby Corp is creating a world of nihilism, and I'm here to prove it. Nihilism within itself is misunderstood plenty around the world, and I can't exactly blame people for getting it confused. We aren't taught philosophy in mandatory schooling, and college only offers snippets of philosophy classes that always seem to clash with my mandatory classes. And this philosophical approach will showcase this, as I'm not an expert and I don't know really what I'm talking about. Nihilism stems from the idea of nothingness. While it is often paired with depression or depictions of existential dread and the meaningless of life, it can be depicted as a separate entity of it. Nihilism within itself is not strictly sad or leading to the end of the world. While I am approaching Baby Corp's world with a more gloomy attitude, I'm not strictly keeping that in mind when using the word nihilism. I'm using the word nihilism to show just how meaningless this world has become, an Ouroboros of an entity that constantly eats away at its own precious resources until nothing but baby slop is left. Everything Baby Corp has done and has done in the past intrinsically creates a world where our actions are therefore meaningless. There's nothing us common folk can do to stop the cycle, as Baby Corp runs the world and will consequently destroy it as a result of their actions. We can already see this building up in the show, despite everything that the main cast has been through. Baby Corp still is barely holding on to hope with faint strength made out of floss. I will be approaching this world as a whole, but I am building off of my previous video essays. Anything established within those videos will be brought up briefly, but ultimately I'll be expanding upon new topics in this video. My main focus for this closing argument is going to be the final show in the Boss Baby franchise, as this show presents way more information than any of its predecessors did. Good? Good. Let's get started. Babies aren't created through reproductive means in this universe. While sex is still confirmed to exist, it's explicitly stated that babies don't actually come from this process. People still do get pregnant, but we're never told if this even leads to a birth or not. We're shown multiple times through multiple parts of this franchise that people don't seem to give birth, but instead either adopt babies or find them on their doorsteps to take them in. I'm taking this as a confirmation that babies are not actually reproduced sexually, but instead are delivered straight from Baby Corp. Baby Corp explicitly organizes parents for their workers or field agents, or for workers planning to retire. Babies are produced on a factory line. We don't know what goes into creating the baby itself, but we do know that babies are created from some type of mixture Baby Corp uses. Formula X, if you will. This is directly told in the episode where the ultra cute baby is revealed to exist, where the CEO explains that the production of this specific baby was unable to be recreated despite their attempts. This baby is so adorable, so precious, that she shines every time that she is on screen. And she is so cute that looking at her for more than 8 seconds increases the cuteness aggression within people, and they become violent and even suffer pain from looking at her. The mere existence of this baby will come up later with more issues, but in the meantime, let's focus on the issue of the creation of this baby. Baby Corp is desperate to recreate it, but were unsuccessful in their attempts. If they did manage to recreate a baby capable of inflicting physical harm from their face, I dare not imagine the future that this would lead to. Baby Corp is in charge of baby production, and a failing of their company would create a shortage of our population. Families who try for children wouldn't be able to obtain any, because human bodies within this universe cannot reproduce on their own. I'm sure there's a chicken and egg debate somewhere, but frankly, I'm not too interested to pick apart such an idea. The writers of the show didn't bother to broach the topic, so neither will I. And for babies already produced, Baby Corp has the authority to rip them away from their families and factory recall them, strap them to a chair and wipe their minds, reprogram them to be more well-behaved and cutesy, remove their personality, their independence. While someone does put a stop to this in the episode where it happens, it wasn't any of the workers who did this. It's Tim, someone who isn't even employed by Baby Corp, and his interference does not directly lead to the abolishment of the system either. While he saves one baby, plenty more likely have their personalities completely changed or erased simply for Baby Corp's profit. To compare this to another scene from children's media, consider Foxy Loxy from Chicken Little. Her character was once a tomboyish bully who was confident in herself and her abilities and loved baseball. A flawed child with a strong sense of competition. And while she was a bully, she was deeply enabled by her school and peers and was never given room to improve. And instead of giving her room to grow, the film fixes her by giving her the equivalent of this behavior by a personality change. And in that same vein, many people have equated this scene to a lobotomy. Don't worry, Foxy Loxy, I'll make a video for you. One day. In the future. This comparison does hold up even if we are talking about an infant. Infants in this world are shown to have strong personalities, likes and dislikes. They are people, and yet Baby Corp has the authority to choose what homes they go to, and if they behave well enough, they don't get who they are rewired into something more socially acceptable. It's a terrifying implication, and this is for babies who aren't held at Baby Corp to become tiny workers in an industry they cannot fully comprehend. It took an entire season in the second series for the franchise to explain how Baby Corp love even warrants profit. Tina, the newest addition in the Templeton Boss Baby lineup, doesn't even understand how money works. And she's a manager in a high position at Baby Corp. Babies are either thrown out into the real world with an unknown threat of a mind wipe, or continue to exist within Baby Corp indefinitely until they prove themselves to the cult of a company. The babies that don't get out are hopped up on baby formula, forcing their minds to process responsibility, know when their age should take on without their consent. The selection process for boss babies is a lacking system that hires them before they can even understand where they are. And these babies are thrust into a working environment where they have to work for a meaningless endeavor and a lacking paycheck. There is one single thing all babies share in common across this universe, though. They are all so stupid. The obvious explanation is that they're babies, and they are, in every sense of the word. They still enjoy baby hobbies and toys, still have baby behavior, but they are given an intelligence-boosting formula and are expected to independently run a company where their production can make or break the world. It feels almost as if the babies are given the intelligence to boot, but not the experience, and thus flounder their way through work without any real guidance. And babies that don't take this formula are, well, babies. Despite the intense formula difference between working babies and normal babies, there's not much of a difference between them other than their ability to speak words versus babbles. And also dropkick others.
Don't fuck with me! I have the power of God and anime on my side!
Wait,
Naturally, we can blame this being a kid's show or the writers. But I want to take it a step further and blame the producers of babies in this universe. If babies are inherently stupid, Baby Corp is to blame. They're the ones that are producing babies and are creating infants that grow into equally stupid adults. They are the ones who can easily save a buck by skimping out on production costs. We don't know if they are currently, but given their track record thus far, I wouldn't be surprised. Baby Corp is here to profit, not to share love throughout the world. Since Baby Corp is in charge of baby production, it means our ability to recreate is simply pointless. We cannot control if we have a baby or not. Obviously, we can choose to adopt if we so choose, but we don't even get the random chance of a child. We get what Baby Corp assigns to us. They choose wealthy families as a privileged retirement for their more prominent babies, and throw the rest of the children onto random couples just to get them out into the world. It's a worrying thought to think about. If Baby Corp went out of business, what would happen to us? Aspiring parents. What would happen to our world if our populations dwindled? No Santa Claus to the sweeping infertility taking hold over humans. Baby Corp makes babies to make a buck, and all we can do is sit by and watch and hope babies get paired with the right households that will love them unconditionally, and pray that Baby Corp wouldn't bring an end to our existence as fleeting as it is.
oh damn.
If you have the privilege to grow up within this world, you're subjected to a cacophony of issues Baby Corp sweeps your way. Baby Corp demands some sort of attention from adults, whether it be baby love or baby hate, and makes massive plans to gather your attention. Baby Corp consistently creates elaborate schemes to force adults to pay attention to their infants, be it for enjoyment of babies or for the hatred of them. Baby Corp regularly has issues with stealing property, breaking it, or downright inconveniencing adults with their own goals. There's been multiple times where Baby Corp, or the direct results of their actions, has interrupted several events to try to garner attention from adults nearby, thereby ruining the original intent of the occasion. For example, there's one episode where there's a local neighborhood event where adults can chat and relax while their children have fun. Instead of the event occurring quietly and naturally, Baby Corp engages with this event to try and make it about a baby moon landing. Of course, this is more so a battle between two baby love rival gangs for attention, but due to the nature of baby love, they make their constant battles everyone else's problem to endure. Several times property is damaged from the baby's involvement. The baby is inflicted with lice and almost has to shave due to a rival goose, and Baby Corp even briefly switches to prioritizing baby hate instead of baby love just to spite their rivals. And who is in the middle of this constant back and forth? Adults. People. The outside population. We are their profit, or more so, we create their profit. Baby Corp transfers baby love into physical cash, and in order to do that, they need our constant attention and support. Baby Corp will regularly throw people into the middle of battles for their own benefit. They usurp events, households, regularly break into buildings to warrant some benefit for their company alone. It's almost tragic how our lives are consistently interrupted to force us to watch a display. Babies paraded around almost like trophies more so than people. It seems like the only use adults in this world have is to prioritize babies, which is frankly demeaning in its own right. Everyone is free to choose if they want children or not, and constant pushing from Baby Corp with these elaborate schemes shouldn't be the deciding factor. Yet the show portrays it as if it were, showing a family wanting a cat over a baby as simply absurd and a losing condition. People are easily swayed by these acts as well, which I personally blame on the production of babies. These people don't feel human in a way, instead products of the Baby Corp machine forced to fulfill another quota. Independence doesn't matter. Nor does your opinion. You need to clap along to Baby Corp's idea to get baby love up, or else they will continue to parade around more intense shenanigans until you do give babies your undivided attention and love. And for those who do want children, and do obtain children, you're either given a baby worker or an actual baby. The worst option for parenthood is obtaining a baby that works for the company, as it's confirmed in the first movie that babies do typically return to the company and wipe the parents' memories after their field missions are over. If you get a baby worker as your child, there's a heavy possibility that all of the effort and love you give to them will be taken away without any chance for you to stop it. You have a child, and you probably loved this child. Loved them so dearly. Had a whole future where you wanted to guide them towards, wanted to see them take their first steps and make friends and graduate high school and go to college. But you never will. Because they were never really your kid in the first place, and you don't even have the memory to grieve your loss. If you are given a normal baby, one that behaves well enough to not be taken away for a product recall and erased from your memory as well, your baby might just be one of their high-earning clients, which means that your baby is paraded behind your back, forced into task after task to have random strangers gushing over your child. They will use prescription medication without your knowledge, only stopped by an outside force from an older sister who pointed out this issue, which means that they likely do this regularly if a child's behavior or health impacts their sales. If I were a parent, I wouldn't feel comfortable with this. What if a kid was adorable when they were sick? Would Baby Corp repeatedly cause them to get sick just so they could have a cute cough? Baby Corp has shown repeatedly that they don't care about a baby unless they were profitable in some type of criteria. I don't want children. I'm not really good with babies, and trying to manage an entire fragile creature under my hands sounds too stressful for me to handle. I'm selfish and a bit self-centered, and I forget things easily. I acknowledge these thoughts and understand that ultimately, I would be best suited for babysitting for my friends instead of being a mother. My choice is not dependent on babies or their actions, yet Baby Corp would treat it as if it were. I would be considered undesirable in the world for simply exercising my right as a human being to not recreate if I don't want to, no matter my reasons. Having children, having that agency over your life, feels impossible in this world when babies can just be assigned to you. Or if you're tricked into caring for one, by any means Baby Corp would throw your way. And you'd listen, of course, because that's how they built you. You were made in a factory. You're under their rules. Escaping out into the world isn't a luxury either. Constant bombardment of babies is a guarantee, whether it be events dedicated around them or babies taking over things that they have nothing to do with, including crime. In season 2 of Boss Baby, criminals find out about the secret formula and begin taking over in order to get away with all sorts of illegal things. In season 2 of Boss Baby, criminals find out about the secret formula and begin taking it in order to get away with all sorts of illegal acts, before ultimately taking over a segment of town as their own and attacking any intruders that cross their borders. These babies best the FBI for a good few days, mind you. This baby town takeover follows an immediate wave of distrust over infants, where even grandparents of babies began to suspect them for being imposters. People avoided babies on the streets, ran away from them, and it's likely few would even begin to neglect their children or refuse service for babies just because of criminals pretending to be them. There's a shortage of diapers and baby food as well, leading to parents desperately using newspaper or trying to blend veggies to feed their children. Infants could have easily begun to starve to death or gotten serious infections because of Baby Corp's actions. Living in this world isn't a happy life no matter which route you take. Either you stay at Baby Corp and live under their restrictive rule, or your entire life is dictated by the company, or you go out into the real world and have your safety, supplies, IQ, and sanity all threatened by Baby Corp's consistent interference. There is no true freedom in this world. Even if you grow up, Baby Corp still has that chain on you. And even if they don't directly interfere with your life, the byproducts of their actions will. And there's nothing you can do about it. I've just spent at least a minute or two yapping on and on about the reasons why Baby Corp is in charge of the world it resides within, but I haven't truly taken a step back and picked into exactly how this company functions. With this new series, we've gotten a full overview of how Baby Corp runs, how it profits, and the overall structure of the company. We've seen how they've grown, how they change, and what decisions CEOs make, and more importantly, where they go wrong. In almost every action they take, Baby Corp is in the wrong in some way. I realize it took this long to actually get to describing Baby Corp in full depth, but frankly, I think it fit here more so than the previous segments. While Baby Corp is the main existence of the show, I wanted to analyze how modern day life existed due to Baby Corp before we delve into the functionality of the company. Baby Corp is a massive behemoth of an entity to unravel of how fucked up it is, and easing our way into it by analyzing their impact on society felt like an easier path to take towards that topic. Keep in mind as I examine this company that this is the company that basically runs the world in this universe. Life cannot continue without this company. Baby Corp is, obviously, a company run mostly by babies for profit. Arguing that Baby Corp is a company run by babies for babies, though, is an incorrect statement I have previously made in another video. Baby Corp is strictly for profit, not to increase baby love or ensure their continued survival of a species. I had thought that at first, but this new show demonstrated how Baby Corp easily switches from baby love to baby hate just to spite their enemies. Baby Corp also allows for non-baby hires within their walls. When Tabitha buys out stocks for a rival company that gets merged into Baby Corp, she becomes one of the council members. And Tim, in the first show, temporarily gets hired multiple times. Baby Corp also does outside contract hires. For example, the slightly older British boy who was hired to destroy the 2 Templeton babies. Another example is the pool string doll that gets hired as CEO. So we have a foundation for Baby Corp. Baby Corp is a company that prioritizes profit, is managed primarily by babies, and will focus on whatever demographic regarding baby love, positive or negative, which would get them the quickest buck. Baby Corp has a plethora of branches all across America, and the local branch has plenty of roles babies take as well. They're in charge of marketing, security, infiltration, management, paperwork, HR, hacking, all sorts of things. The big bosses, the Council of Babies, don't interfere much with the company's day-to-day business unless it's to directly fire someone. In order to keep their company running, they produce several baby formulas. There's 3 specific forms to this formula, one of which is a specific off-brand version that is only used once in the entire show. The normal baby formula is the one we regularly see babies drink. This keeps them locked as intelligent babies, but continued use needs to be applied within a certain time limit, or else this formula will wear off and force them to become a regular baby. The normal baby formula is the one you regularly see babies drink in the show. This keeps them as intelligent babies, but continued use needs to be applied within a certain time limit, or else this formula will wear off and force them to become regular babies. Obviously, needing a drink like this daily does form a type of dependence, a topic I covered in my original video as well. Thankfully, it's confirmed that after employees are let go, they are given a 6-month supply as a severance package. Unfortunately for these babies, though, there is no way to obtain the secret formula unless it is directly from Baby Corp, and missing one dosage turns you back into a regular baby. There is no separate distributor, only Baby Corp and its employees. Teddy had to have one of his employees recreate it when they started to run out. The second formula they've developed is a more recent addition, the advanced secret formula that turns adults back into babies with all their memories and intelligence in check. This is primarily the focus of the second movie and second series, a formula criminals take advantage of to commit evil deeds while they are under the safety of a baby face. This formula also has a time limit, so dependence is also seen in this version much like the first one. These formulas can be watered down as well, reducing their effectiveness, and can act as a way to eliminate other threats, as seen with the streamer CEO Baby. These two formulas existing create a base of dependence that all baby workers have to abide by, or immediately become terminated and lose access to their memories, personalities, and life as they know it. If a batch of these formulas became contaminated, and all of Baby Corp drank it, they would all be reverted to normal babies instantaneously. Baby production would cease, and an entire building of babies would be left unattended, and the children would likely succumb to starvation due to the neglect of available caretakers nearby. Creating a dependency on this formula creates an issue they wouldn't have to deal with if they just employed adults. The third formula is shown once and may not be a direct product of Baby Corp. Since it seems to be a relatively rare substance and there's no proof of it originating from Baby Corp, I'll be labeling it as an extremely rare and unlikely to come across substance. Still, it exists, and direct competitors have access to it. Keep that in mind. This third formula does the opposite of the second formula. It reverts babies to an adult. But there's a strict difference here that causes concern for its existence. The effects are permanent, and the adult version retains no memories of their younger versions, not like the second baby formula. This is extremely dangerous to have, and we see the effects of it in the British baby hitman. In the brief time we see him after his exposure to it, he desperately chases anything that he could use to understand who he was and how he got here. This man forgot his entire existence due to this formula. Any friends he had, any goals he pursued, it's all gone because of this serum. And yes, he organized to partake in this game with the consequences in mind, but what about all the other children who could get hit by this stuff? Its existence is an issue. Arguably, none of these formulas should exist. Whatever came first, the baby or the Baby Corp, it doesn't matter. Either way, I highly doubt this concentrated formula, made from a concoction of chemicals that is ingestible for babies, came naturally. So Baby Corp was likely run by adults in its earlier years. Through some scientific development, they managed to create a source of immortality, but kept it to themselves and began hoarding it to make a never-ending stream of profit with its workers that can blend in with the common folk, and not look suspicious. Their hold on the formula isn't secure either, as several workers have been shown to smuggle out bottles of the formula and distribute it amongst the general population, without any hint of Baby Corp being aware of their depleting stock. Eternal youth isn't a topic I'll be broaching in this video, since it's a complicated road to tread upon and trying to dissect if one should even reveal the youth, or how it should be managed in our day and age without risk of overpopulation, is a topic I don't have time to cover for this particular video. It would be a lot of what-ifs that deviate from the original idea of this video. But regardless, I think the mere existence of this eternal youth that this company has control over is a frightening concept. The existence of a formula that they can give away as they please that causes a group of criminals to go wild on a town and rob them blind is terrifying. The formula's intended purpose is to keep their workers from aging out, and to create a way for their workers to enter the real world without a disguise so they can perfectly perform actions unsuspected. The disguise approach quickly deteriorates when you notice how many people seem to easily recognize the babies that work for Baby Corp, and how easy the trust in babies gets thrown out the window. In fact, the act of keeping their workers as infants seems to directly put the mental state of a majority of adults at risk. By having a baby drink this formula, they are given the level of intelligence their grown-up body would regularly have, minus the direct experience they would have went through in order to get to that stage. This is an issue, as talking babies with coherent thoughts and plans can really confuse people and cause parents to be more distant from their children. Typically, we would just imagine this would be a hurdle to overcome, but the show confirms multiple times that the reveal of a talking baby can break an adult's mind. There are ways for adults in the show to combat this, but the act of preventing your mind from shattering takes incredible mental effort and dedication to do. Adults that don't already have an understood notion of this from other sources, or aren't actively aware that they need to put up a fight in the first place, quickly succumb to becoming babbling husks of humans. Babies that can talk are a direct threat to the safety of adults, and their continuous employment, despite Baby Corp willingly allowing older people into the company, shows just how much Baby Corp self-contradicts. Why would Baby Corp continuously pump out this likely expensive formula just to keep their workers at a young age? Arguably the most expensive and time-consuming age for parents to manage. It's simple, really. Control. Baby Corp is a top company in the baby love market and has shown time and time again through each episode just how much control really matters to those managing the company. They immediately fire babies who object to their practices, take their workers right off the production line without letting them gain experience to make choices, and keep them at an age where they can't fully control themselves. Even if babies are handed adult-like intelligence, they still have baby instincts, just like how Tina completely melts down when she's left with a babysitter. There are competitors that challenge Baby Corp, of course. This ranges from puppies, to kittens, to babysitters, to weird men dressed up as a cat, who's probably an incel. These enemies have regularly broken into Baby Corp and on 2 occasions completely shut down functionality of the company. Some cause supply issues, like the old people or the criminal babies, and force parents to resort to newspaper or blended burgers to try and feed their children. As a result of these competitors, Baby Corp has developed defenses to deal with them, be it training of their employees to fight, torture methods to get people to confess to things they hadn't done like they did with Tim and Tabitha, or the worst weapon in my opinion. I mentioned this earlier, but there's a new baby introduced in the second show of Boss Baby. This baby is considered so cute that merely looking at her can stop anyone in their tracks. However, her cuteness is so overwhelming that anything more than 8 seconds can cause issues to settle in. Cute aggression, eye pain, heart pain, you name it. Baby Corp has locked her away within a room to ensure her safety, but rarely lets her out. She has to break out just to experience social interaction. And what do they do with her? They turn her into a weapon. They lock her within a small baby-sized robot and use her cuteness to blast a concentrated beam of cute into people, temporarily blinding them and causing physical pain. An innocent person is locked away and turned into a weapon for their own use and only is released when Teddy helps her escape to a family that can stomach her cuteness. When people object to Baby Corp, they fight back, no matter the cost.
What? What's happening?
Poor management, awful practices, self-sabotaging, completely impractical. Those are words to describe this company, and that's how I would feel summarizing this section. Baby Corp is an inherently awful company that doesn't have to abide by the laws of society that we've crafted, with their hands in substances that can make or break our minds if they so pleased. They control our population from the shadows, and if production is shut down, our species would simply die out and be forgotten. The company cannot become better with a simple CEO replacement. The flaws within are just foundationally deep. So ingrained within the practices that Baby Corp is bound to endlessly repeat these issues. And what can we do about it? As normal people, we're bound to our normal lives, unable to try to stop these issues, much less try to combat them. This fucked up company rules the world from the shadows, owns our population, and can take away our children if they so please. And who are we to stop it? They have immortality to their side. If we choose to hate babies to try and rid them from our children, they will simply switch to baby hatred and will profit just as much at the expense of our children. We are nothing but bystanders, a production of love or hatred to raise their income. We laugh when they want us to. We applaud when they ruin our events, and what do we get out of it? An unstable life where one slip-up, one misguided broadcast on live television could remove our personalities as we know it. And we're the lucky ones who manage to slip away from their hiring process, not kept under their cult-like approach to whispering sweet nothings to our workers. False praises that will bring nothing but despair at the end of the day. Where I would care for my young and constantly wonder if they weren't plotting behind my back. Where one overreaction could lead to them being factory recalled like some ill-fitting product. Not the child I've come to love as my own. Where I wouldn't remember them, wouldn't understand that I may not have asked for it, but the child was assigned to me regardless. Nihilism is a direct response to life being meaningless. A gift shop in a museum showing that our actions have no consequences on the world as we know it. That our lives have no meaning, that our value is for naught. We simply exist, and we die, and that's it. I argue that the existence of Baby Corp promotes nihilism. We are created, and our lives and futures are under the direct control of Baby Corp. There is no future without them, not without their products of humans. Why choose to have children if they may be taken away, and why bother to do anything if our lives are not our own? We're nothing but products meant to churn out love under their orders, and is this it? This is our existence in the world? Tools to love and care for babies just for a quick buck? I'm sure there's plenty of other words to describe the situation, but I felt like nihilism fit best. While the world is devoid of any meaning in our births and deaths, the absence of hope isn't complete. People can still choose their own hobbies, go to school or work, make friends, and enjoy leisure strolls to the park if they wanted. But our continued existence means nothing, cannot inherently mean anything if it is directly out of our control and has no point for ourselves. And sure, our love does give them a profit, but ultimately, does that even matter? Money is a concept humans have developed, the meaning self-proclaimed instead of the true secret to life. Baby Corp runs our world, but their values are as self-described as anyone else's. Human-made and human-destroyed. Just as Baby Corp creates us, they can destroy us. And there's nothing we can do about that. Some people argue for nihilism with the idea that nothing is creating us, but frankly, the concept of us being created as simple products in an Ouroboros machine that constantly feeds itself is an equal argument. Just because something outside of our control created us doesn't automatically assign value to us, or to our lives and existence as a whole. So what is left then, if we have nothing but this? Nothing but a company constantly teetering on the edge of several cliffs, ready to plummet and drag the world down with it. Nothing really. Except for one single thing. And his name is Pip. Pip is amazing. I would have not endured through the series if Pip did not exist. This little brat is an amazing character who I adore dearly. He is so chaotic and always has his own priorities and is willing to make connections if they're the enemy or not. I love Pip. Every line with him is hilarious and his insanity knows no bounds. I want to adopt this boy. I want to add him to the list of fictional characters I've chosen to parent. I will start the most weird family that you've ever seen, but by God do I want Pip to be a part of that. I think if I did reproduce, this human disguise of an atomic bomb would be the outcome. He is lovely, and he is my son now. But yeah, other than Pip, there isn't much else going for this world. Alright, thank you all for watching, and I will see you guys in my next insane video. Feel free to check out my other social medias, my art or my writing, and of course my YouTube where my funny shit just goes down in infamy. Have a fantastic day, everyone.